ARB board meeting to order. Madam Secretary, if you'll please do the roll call.
Nicole Conkle.
Here.
Brittany Sands. Anna Johnson.
Yeah.
Michael Nichols.
Here.
Jennifer Oberlin.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Thanks. And so for those of you that are in the audience and following on TV, we have recently had the new appointment of an ARB member, Mike Nichols, and so I'll give him just a minute to introduce himself to us.
My name is Mike Nichols. I'm a Frankfort native, Frankfort High graduate. Went to college in Indiana, came back, went to law school at UK. My wife and I are both attorneys, practiced law briefly here and in Mount Sterling, and then spent probably 15 years or so in state government in the executive and legislative branches, bouncing back and forth as people do, but probably most of that time I worked for the legislature and served as a city attorney for the city of Mount Sterling and did some of this type work there with planning and zoning and all those related things. So I have a little bit of experience just on as doing what Mr. Logan does.
Well, wonderful. He can tell you we often need help making sure we stay within legal, but I'm joking. I'm absolutely joking, okay? Great, thank you. And we are happy to have you join us.
Thank you.
So next we need the approval of minutes from the September 19th, 2023 meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve those minutes.
I'll second. Please call the roll. Oh, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those minutes are approved. Next, we go to the first item of new business, that is the chairperson's report and administrative approvals. I do not have anything to report that I'm aware of, but I will ask Vicki to come up for the administrative approvals, and she can remind me if there's something I'm supposed to report on and I've forgotten about. Yeah.
Good evening, Vicki Bierenberg, Historic Preservation Officer. The administrative approvals for the period from September 12, 2023 to October 9th, 2023 include in the Special Historic Zoning District at 106-108 Wilkinson, replacement of a woven wire fence with a salvaged cast iron fence. In the Special Capital Zoning District at 306 West 4th Street. Final details on new construction materials, the extension of a rear entrance roof over a back door, and a deck. That's at 306 West 4th Street. At 508 Capitol Avenue, box gutter and stucco repairs. 510 Marshall Court, replacement of gutters in kind. 309 Shelby Street, replacement of roof in kind. 317 Capitol Avenue, drainage improvements and a privacy fence. 107 East 3rd Street, wood privacy fence in the side rear yard and an ornamental iron gate. And at 307 West 3rd Street, removal of metal soffit and artificial siding to expose wood. And that's all I have for that period.
Great, thank you. So moving on to new business item number 2. Madam Secretary, if you will please read the request.
In accordance with Articles 4, 17, 18, and 19 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Taylor Marshall of Taylor Marshall Property LLC is requesting a conditional use permit for professional offices at 616 to 618 Shelby Street. The property is more particularly identified as PBA map number 062 1406 00600.
Okay, this application is at 616, 618 Shelby Street, which is in the Special Capital Zoning District. And this first application is for a conditional use permit. Now we are trying to tie in some testimony this evening from the applicant's representative, and that has apparently locked up my slides. So I'm hoping Courtney is coming back into the room to to help me with this. We did test it out earlier today, and we had it working.
There's Courtney.
There she is. Courtney,
Yes.
I can't move my slides now.
Let's see. All right, I'll get you a mouse.
It did work earlier when we tested it.
All right.
Can't imagine that's a battery issue. Do you want me to go ahead without these? All right, so this property, you have seen it before. It is part of the Barracks National Register District. That was designated in 1975, and it includes the entire block, the portion that faces Shelby and also the portion that faces Woodland Avenue. The contributing buildings in the district front those two streets. And of course, this is part of the Special Capital Zoning District. The barracks is significant because, thank you so much. The barracks is significant because it was constructed in the 1870s after the Civil War to house federal troops that had been stationed in Frankfort in response to the ongoing violence to African American citizens here. They were used by the military from 1871 to 1876, and they are listed on the National Register with significance to the state of Kentucky. So they have significance greater than just Frankfort. This application for a conditional use permit is a resubmission. The ARB initially reviewed an application for a CUP in September of 2022. That application was denied by the board, primarily because staff was unable to find positive findings for the general conditions for the conditional use as listed in Article 19. The applicant had also paved a large area at the rear of the property without a certificate of appropriateness from the ARB as required. But since that time, the applicant has submitted a development plan as required for review and comment by the technical review team, which includes Public Works, the sewer department, utility companies. The applicant has also worked closely with the neighbor at 209 New Street to ensure that the paving will not have adverse effects on her property. In addition, the applicant has indicated on the development plan that parking in the paved area will be shared with 612 Shelby Apartments A and B. Those are also part of this particular barracks building. And they are currently being used as short-term rentals, and they are also owned by the applicant. So this should help to free up some parking on Shelby Street for other people, which helps to mitigate the size of that lot. And then finally, the applicant has also submitted an application for a certificate of appropriateness, which will be reviewed after this application. So I'll show you the PVA map. You can see the location of the property on Shelby. Here's a map from the late 19th century. After the military had vacated the block and it was being used for both residential and commercial purposes. Here's the Sanborn Fire Insurance map from 1907 with the 3 units that are part of this application circled. Now, there has been an amendment to the development plan from the one that's included in your staff report, and I did put that in front of you this evening, so you have it there to look at. This amendment was submitted yesterday by the applicant. The only notable change is that in addition to the 32-foot privacy fence that is indicated on the plan, that was included with the staff report, the applicant is now also proposing to install a 50-foot French drain to ensure that there is no water runoff to the rear yard at 209 New Street. So in addition to the privacy fence, there will also be a French drain installed. And you can see just to the left there of the development plan, the cross-section drawing that shows the drain and the fence. Here's just some photos to give you a sense. This is a state marker for the property. This is that particular building. This is a 7-unit building. This application pertains to the 3 most south units. Here's a view of the parking area at the back. Here's a view of the location at the edge of the parking lot where the privacy fence and the French drain will be installed. Here's a view of the landscape buffer adjacent to the parking area. Now this slide does list the general conditions in Article 19. And this time around, all the findings are positive. We have adequate street or road capacity on Shelby Street. Public facilities are available. The conditional use proposed is in accordance with the intent of the zoning district, which allows limited professional offices. And we have a positive finding for no adverse effect on adjacent or surrounding property, given the mitigation that has been proposed there. There is appropriate screening or buffering in accordance with the landscape regulations. The sign regulations not applicable to this application. Specific conditions are not applicable. We don't have specific conditions in Article 19 for professional office use. And finally, that the use and development of land complies with the adopted comprehensive plan. We have a positive finding. So, staff is recommending approval of this application with these 7 conditions, which are also found on page 6 of your staff report. And I will answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions for Vicki?
So how do we know, and maybe I need to wait for Jen, how do we know that the French drain is going to resolve the issue for the neighbor on New Street?
That may be a question for
Okay.
Jen and the neighbor who is here tonight.
Okay, good.
Any other questions for Vicki? Thank you.
Thank you.
So a representative of the applicant is joining us via phone, as she is out of state currently. So if you will please state your name and address.
She's muted.
Okay, this is me. This is Jen Williamson. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Jen Williamson, Spangler Williamson Architecture and Engineering. We're at 407 Walking Street, Frankfurt.
And have you received the staff report and agree with the conditions and findings?
Yes, we have.
Okay. And is there anything you would like to tell us about the request?
I would just want to say that the owner has, and I have worked with the city and the neighboring property owner to find a resolution that would resolve any outstanding concerns. I think we learned over the last year that the existing condition hasn't caused any specific issues to the neighboring property, but we did decide it would be best to put the French drain in as at this time to manage the water in the event of heavy rain events, to direct it away from the back of the neighboring house. I think we've been the owner's been interested in meeting all of the needs of the neighbor and screening and water management, and he's been very willing to do what needs to be done in order for this change of use, which is the professional office is a use that's in other structures in the barracks district.
Okay, thank you. And I do think a member of the board might have a question for you, so.
No, I think you were answering the question. I was referring to the French drain, and if you were projecting that it was going to resolve the issue with the water draining on the neighbor, or if you were if it was something you were speculating, or if you knew for a fact that that was where the water was coming in at. So that's, I think you did answer that.
I think, yeah, the house is a fair distance from the edge of the pavement, and we've had a year of experience with whatever amount of weather events that we have had so far. We just are feeling that the installation of the French drain at this time is reasonable, especially with the fence going in at this time. It would be harder to put in later, and to do it now will just give us that extra bit of assurance that when we have a very heavy rain event, it's not going to be producing a lot of surface level water runoff into the yard.
Any other members of the board have questions for the applicant? All right, thank you. I don't think we have any more questions.
Okay, thank you.
I do believe there are members of the public present that would like to comment on this proposal, and if so, please step forward and state your name and address in the mic.
Okay, I'm Gina Morales, and I'm 209 New Street. And Taylor's been great, okay? We've had a really good relationship throughout this whole thing. He's meeting my concerns the best I can see. The privacy fence will be great. There used to be a privacy fence there. So the installation of that will be wonderful. The last thing in the world I want to see is for Taylor to have to dig up any concrete. And it's my understanding that he was trying to divert the water over to Shaw Lane. But I sit at the bottom of the hill, and in fact I have photographs on my phone taking out my back door of the area. And it's very clear that it's a downward slope. And hence, we felt the French drain would take care of the issue in carrying the water away from my immediate backyard. I'm not an engineer, but I don't see why it would not correct the problem. I think it would be the easiest solution. So that's all I have to say. Taylor's been really cooperative and has gone out of his way to, meet my needs. So, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the certificate of appropriateness for the conditional use permit, for the property at 616 to 618 Shelby Street with the 7 staff recommendations listed.
And based on the findings.
And based on all the findings that we were just told.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Nichols?
Aye. Yes.
Ms. Conkle?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
And Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 3, new business. If the Madam Secretary would please read the request.
In accordance with Articles 4 and 17 of the City of Frankfort zoning ordinance, Taylor Marshall of Taylor Marshall Property LLC is requesting a certificate of appropriateness for a parking lot behind the building located at 616 to 618 Shelby Street. The property is more particularly identified as PVA map number 1406-00600.
Again, this is the same property in the Special Capital Zoning District. You have approved the new use for the property. There is also an application before you to issue a certificate of appropriateness for the paved area in the back of the property. A little bit of background again, this property consists of 3 units and a 7-unit historic brick building constructed in 1870. It is a vernacular Victorian style, made of brick with a side gabled roof covered with asphalt shingles. Due to the topography of the site, some of the units have a raised basement, others only have crawl spaces. The units that comprise 616 to 618 are on the south end. They have a main floor over a crawl space. The building as a whole is a contributing structure to the Frankfurt Barracks National Register District, which was designated in 1975. It is also a contributing structure to the South Frankfurt Neighborhood National Register District, which was designated in 1982 and expanded in 2013. This request for a certificate of appropriateness for the parking area developed at the rear of the building, which was constructed in 2022. The parking area is larger than that required for the use that you just approved. 6 spaces are required for the approximately 2,000 square feet of space in the units. The parking area has 7 spaces, and there are also 2 spaces in front of the property on the street, so that would be 9 altogether. The applicant has indicated on the development plan that 3 spaces will be shared with 612A and B. As I mentioned before, they are also owned by this applicant and are currently operated as short-term rentals. So sharing the parking with these units will help to mitigate the size of the paved area. It will free up some parking on the street. With regard to the materials, which are concrete, used for the parking area, they are compatible with existing and adjacent sites. I don't have an actual copy of the lot again. The parking lot is at the rear of the building, and it is only visible on Shaw Lane. You can't see it from the front of the property. There are other parking lots associated with other properties in the Barracks National Register District and on this block of the Special Capital Historic Zoning District. And if you look on the PVA map, you can see that. There is a small lot adjacent next door for the 4-unit apartment building. There's another parking pad just south of that building. There is at least 1 parking pad on the Woodland side of the block, and there's also a large parking lot in the front of the apartment building that faces State Street. So there are other parking areas already in existence on the block. The applicant has indicated on the development plan that the visual impacts to the property at 209 New Street will be mitigated with a wood privacy fence, so she will not have to look at the parking lot from her back window anymore. And staff is recommending, these views are of Shaw Lane, and this view is of Gina's view from the back of her house. So staff is recommending of the COA today. While it's never really a great thing when someone has to come after the fact to request approval, in this case, due to the proposed mitigation, we feel like, the application is approvable at this point. And we recommend approval subject to these 2 recommended conditions, which are also found on page 5 of the staff report. We have added the words French drain to condition number 1 because the development plan was submitted yesterday and that was not included in the wording on your staff report. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Vicki? Thank you. I do believe, or I know, a representative of the applicant is available via phone for us. Will you please state your name and address again?
Yeah, this is Jen Williamson, Spangler Williamson Architecture Engineering. We're at 407 Wapping Street in Frankfurt.
And have you received a copy of the staff report and agree with all its findings and conditions?
Yes, we do.
Anything you'd like us to know about the proposal?
I would just underline what Vicki's already shown, that we do have in the site development plan mitigated the size of the concrete with screening to Shaw and the privacy fence to the direct neighbor to the north. And I would like to just personally thank Gina Morales for her willingness to be a good neighbor and have this discussion, as it's all been in good faith. And I really appreciate her being there at the hearing tonight.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the board for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any further discussion on this proposal? Being none, I'll entertain a motion. I need a motion, guess.
I don't make them.
No, I know.
Okay. Let's see. I will make a motion that we approve the request for certificate of appropriateness for the parking lot behind the building at 616 and 618, based on the findings and recommendations of staff. Oh, and we're going to add, of course, the French drain to number 1.
Is there a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, please call a roll.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Ms. Conkle?
Yes.
Ms. Oberlin?
Yes.
And Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you to the applicant.
Thank you.
And then item number 4, new business citizen comments. There being no citizens present, I don't think there are any. And I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.